Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for part 2 of our Success for All series. Last week, we discussed strategies for equitable hiring, and today we will cover equitable onboarding and retention. If you didn't make last week's webinar, not to worry. You're welcome to attend today and can access the recording of last week's presentation on our website if you're interested. If you were here with us last week, the start of this webinar might sound a little familiar. Before I dive into anything, please take a moment to review today's housekeeping rules. For tech issues, please use the chat feature on your screen. They go straight to me so I can troubleshoot in the moment. For questions that apply to all audiences, please use the Q&A feature. Keep in mind that not everyone in the audience is in your industry, so please submit questions that are relevant to all types of employers. I'll send out slides post-presentation with resources and a post-webinar survey link. Please note that those responses also come straight to me for review, so please take 5 minutes and let us know how we can best serve you. We are going to be planning next academic year's series of employer education webinars, and we would love your feedback. As a quick introduction, my name is Lindsay Smith. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Associate Director for Employer and Community Connections in the University of Washington Career and Internship Center. I have worked for the center for the past 6.5 years, and if this is your first contact with the CNIC, we are the centralized career center on campus that provides career guidance and programming for students of most majors and school years. I attended college on the other side of the state at Gonzaga University, but I love supporting Huskies here in Seattle. You can reach me at lsmith8@uw.edu. Today, we'll review a number of topics around onboarding and retention. After an overview, we'll discuss creating onboard checklists, setting expectations, building a connected team, sharing your DEI initiatives, establishing a check-in cadence, and retaining your new hires. Let's start with the overview. Before we can get into the meat of the presentation, I invite you to read through the premise of today's training. If you attended last week's webinar, it's very similar. We cannot talk through any content unless we assume the following 3 bullet points are true. I assume you are here because your priority is to hire, onboard, and retain a more diverse workforce that feels welcomed, valued, and included. And because you understand that existing practices in these areas may exclude or disadvantage marginalized populations. In order to create lasting change, we must acknowledge that the process of creating change is lasting as well, and will require the investment of significant time, energy, and resources. But that's okay. And your being here is a positive step that will certainly create impact. While considering that premise, we have a few goals today. We'll talk through best practices and standards for each step of the onboarding and retention process to offer considerations for adjusting your organization's processes. I'll share the why behind these current best practices, the context, research, or reasoning to help magnify the importance of DEI work and provide credibility. And lastly, throughout the slide deck, you'll see several links to resources. And as I mentioned, I'll share out these slides post-presentation, and you're welcome to click on the links for different sources that will provide further information about how you can change your hiring practices for the better. All right, let's begin. Starting off with onboarding checklists. Starting with a plan and having it ready prior to onboarding ensures your new hire will have an equitable onboarding experience. You want your candidate to arrive on their first day feeling prepared, comfortable, and set up for success. If you already have a plan and it's ready to go, and you've taken some steps to customize it to the unique needs they've identified or that their role requires, the better off that candidate will be. It's important to note that checklists can and should exist for managers too. This keeps everyone aligned and accountable for their responsibilities. Consider providing information to new hires in writing so that candidates can refer back to if needed. So a sample onboarding checklist for employees. An opportunity for a meet and greet with staff is important. Could the new hire be introduced at a team or all staff meeting? Maybe over donuts in an informal setting with a chance to get to know each other. Leading the new hire on a tour of the office and or workspace helps them feel settled in and feel comfortable in the space. Pointing out the closest restrooms, lunch or break areas, meeting rooms, elevators, emergency exits, and other locations also helps the new hire feel secure in the space. Also, be sure to follow and share any emergency protocols that they might need to know. And of course, the standard HR onboarding processes. Be sure to clarify when and how often employees are paid, discuss PTO and sick leave processes, how to access benefits, and discuss any required trainings and the associated due dates. Have ready instructions for setting up and access their email and documents, platforms used, login information, and accessing other office technology such as the printer, office phones, etc. Also, be sure to schedule a one-on-one for their first day to talk about the onboarding process and what they can expect, discuss the role, review their job description with them, and go over expectations. This will help them to feel settled and secure on their first day. And share about the existing DEI work of your team and organization and how the new hire can contribute and participate. Also provide some time over the first couple of weeks for the new hire to set up their office and make it their own, so it feels like a comfortable space for them. And a sample onboarding checklist for managers is important too. You'll notice these are essentially a mirror image of the new hire's onboarding checklist, but includes the planning aspects you'll want to consider and or complete ahead of time. A note on the first bullet point. Communication prior to the new hire's first day is really important. You want the individual to feel fully prepared to arrive to work on the first day. About 1 week before their start date, send an email including information about parking, building access, dress code, lunch break, time frame, etc. If they plan to drive, do they have to pay for their own parking? Is there a recommended lot and or options or restrictions? If they plan to take public transportation, will that eventually be subsidized in it in any way? If so, how and when does that start? When they arrive on their first day, will the building be open or do they need to be buzzed in or let in? When they arrive at their office, do they wait for you to greet them? Is there a front desk? What is expected of them when they arrive? And what do people usually wear in your office? Is there an expected type of dress? How long is their lunch break? Do they have time to go buy lunch? And is there access to restaurants or food? Or should they be expected to bring food from home? If so, is there a fridge, a microwave, silverware? These all might seem like small things, but especially on their first day, you want them to feel prepared and that they have access to what they need on that day. Think back to your first day. What would you have liked to know when you got started? Were there tips that would have been helpful to know that may just feel like common knowledge to you now? And then another note on the last bullet point, prep job-related training materials and who may be training the person. Take time before the new hire starts to structure a training plan, what materials are needed for training, and who is the best to lead the training. Having a written document for training is helpful for the new hire to refer back to, but if it's not possible to create these before the new hire starts, consider training via Zoom and recording the sessions for reference later. It is really nice to provide some sort of written or recorded documentation so the new hire doesn't necessarily feel like they need to scribble every note and then continually ask you to reconfirm if they're training with the fire hose of information coming at them. Sample schedule. So this is a sample schedule for a new hire for their first week. The outline shows what they'll be doing, who they'll be meeting with, what time they'll be doing the activity, and the location where they'll be. This helps the candidates prepare mentally for the days to come, knowing when they might have a full day of training modules or when they'll need to be more chatty and prepared to socialize. It can help them influence if they need to pack a lunch or plan to have money to go out to eat with the team, what they wear to the office, and again, their mental preparation. This is in the context of the open roles, and of course, these types of elements may not be relevant to all the roles that you have that you're hiring for. All of these are meant to help you set up good expectations with your new hire. And what's a good way to do this? You'll want to create a list of workplace expectations and write them down. Standardizing office-wide expectations and putting them into a shared document brings clarity and consistency. With fewer nuances and unspoken rules, everyone is on the same page and set up for success. Secondly, you'll want to develop a communication plan between new hires and their managers. How does the office and the manager in particular prefer to communicate? Does the office only use email? Does the manager prefer Teams or Slack messages? Is the new hire expected to share their personal cell phone number? And if so, how is it used? Only emergencies or for outside of work communication? What's expected there? Also explicitly state how and when employee performance is evaluated, and share if there are other mechanisms for sharing feedback both ways, such as in one-on-one meetings. We also recommend avoiding unspoken expectations that are inherent in US work culture or in specific industry culture, and we'll get into these in a moment. To expound upon the idea of common workplace expectations, think about these types of things. What are the expectations for working hours? Are daily hours strictly set, such as logging in at 8 a.m. and logging off at 5, or is there some flexibility? How long is their lunch break? Do they have time to go buy lunch, or do they need to bring it? How do they need to dress in the office? Are jeans okay, or are they a big no-no? And how about on Fridays? If they wake up with the stomach flu, how do they contact you? Do they need to call you or can they text? Does it need to be 2 hours before the workday starts or can it be 5 minutes? What are the expectations around submitting PTO requests? What trainings are required and by when? Set these expectations up front so your new hire has a map. Here's a short list of some of the unwritten US norms and work culture. This is a list that we aren't necessarily promoting as something that we recommend, but it is something that sometimes in some industries is unwritten and expected. And if you think some of these expectations are inherent, they're not. It's not equitable to assume that everyone knows the norms of office culture. You might have a new hire who grew up in a different country, or for whom this is their first job, who belongs to a different generation, or who may be making the jump from one industry to another, and it may be a complete different set of unwritten expectations. So here are some of the norms that some of us grew up understanding and knowing. These might not be common knowledge for the next person who gets hired into your office. And if you have something pertaining to these areas that you want that person to know, set that expectation and have the conversation up front. If there's something that the person is not meeting or an expectation that isn't being met, address it up front and early rather than letting it build and fester. Building a connected team. As that new hire assimilates into the office, you'll want to start thinking about your office culture and how you can unify that new hire with members of your existing team. How can you build a connected team? Here are some ideas to start. You can create opportunities for new hires to connect with existing staff. You can get to know your employees through casual conversations. You can develop employee resource groups or other spaces for new hires to interact with their peers. And you can make clear how a new hire's work fits into the larger organization. To provide some concrete examples of how to do these, consider the following. Plan a meet and greet on your new hire's first day. You can also schedule individual connection meetings with anyone on your team and set the agenda with them for discussion topics. Wear name tags in the workplace. Maybe share an organizational chart of who's who. Assign team projects when possible. Plan social activities for staff during or outside of work hours. And allow staff to conduct informational interviews on the clock. Help them reach out to contacts as needed. That will help the new hire feel like you are invested in their professional development and networking ability in the role. And remember, your new hires are people too, with lives and feelings and hobbies outside of work that can and will affect how they work for you in the future. We're social creatures. Connection makes us feel good. And if you will be managing this new hire, casual conversation should be something that's welcome in the workplace. You do not need to talk about everything, and you shouldn't expect your new hire to share anything that they may not want to. But your new hire may want to share with you what's going on in their life, and that's okay. Um, I think most people like letting other people in and having opportunities to share about themselves. And this is also especially important for Gen Z who need that personal interaction to feel fulfilled. Another thing to keep in mind is that for Gen Z hires specifically is the idea of the mission. Understanding the mission helps employees see the bigger picture, which is an important trait for Gen Z. To take this another step, it's good to share with the new hires how their particular role and specific elements of their job description fit into the vision. And this helps to establish a sense of connection to the overall goals of the office. Invite executives to share career advice or talk about the organizational mission with employees. Hearing from the top of the organization can help new hires feel more connected and engaged overall. Invite employees to attend meetings about projects related to theirs to help understand the value of their contributions. And perhaps offer a training session on something your employee wants to learn. Show the new hire you're committed to their professional development. Now, this is a webinar on equity, so I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about DEI initiatives in the workplace. But I also understand that not all of you are equal in the work that you're able to do. Some of you indicated previously that you were brand new to introducing DEI initiatives, and some of you are looking for ways to capitalize off of what you've already built. So for those of you who understand that there's work to be done in your organization, here's how you can start creating space for diversity and equity initiatives. Inform new hires of where your organization is when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion work. Provide opportunities for the new hire to participate in this work as early as possible. Be open to new ideas about your DEI work and create robust feedback mechanisms. Acknowledge that this is an ongoing effort and will take resources, energy, and time. Maybe this is all new to you, or maybe you're looking for ways to advance your work. Here are some examples of work you could be doing, all of which relate to DEI. And this is just a small list. The DEI space is boundless, and as I said on the last slide, ongoing. But it's an important commitment to keep underrepresented populations in mind. Consider constructing a diversity statement, hosting resource groups or trainings, or conducting different types of analyses on your company to hold yourself accountable to this work. Employee resource groups are a fantastic way also, the fourth bullet point, to provide space for employees to connect with folks that they feel affiliated with and that they can share their experiences and build community together. And remember that if you've done your job correctly, you'll be surrounded by a bunch of people who have different voices, backgrounds, and needs than you. So listen to them. Eliciting feedback from your employees about their experience leads to improved systems and deeper investment in the work. Develop systems that allow employees to feel safe, to be honest about their experiences and recommendations, provide anonymous feedback if they so choose, understand how their feedback will be reviewed, understood, and acted upon, and recognize that the system is not designed to be punitive, but rather constructive. And as a final note on onboarding, I'd encourage you to start and continue the process of checking in. This goes along with my last slide on feedback loops and the importance of having them. And remember that it may be different for everyone. Individuals need their own levels of support or frequency of check-ins to feel successful. Maybe check-in meetings are 10 minutes long at the beginning of the day. Maybe they're weekly, but as time goes on and your new hire becomes more comfortable, maybe these meetings will happen less frequently. No matter what, revisit expectations and the needs of the new hire and adjust as you go. And get comfortable admitting that you don't know it all, and neither does your new hire. You both get to grow with each other. Check-in loops allow you to get creative about problem solving, asking questions, and learning together. This next section is about retention, and it's an ongoing process that demands ongoing time, attention, effort, and resources. There's no one-size-fits-all solution to retaining 100% of your employees, but we have some information here on company culture, goals, and growth. Your company culture is built by the people who work there. So when assessing your culture, look at the people with a critical eye and how they are working alongside each other, how they're socializing, and how they're making decisions. Who is over or underrepresented at various management levels of your organization? You might consider looking for ways that existing company norms may disadvantage certain populations of people. Can the people with children attend the decisions that are made during post-work happy hours? Are you having water cooler chats in the morning that disadvantage people with longer commutes? And what about social dynamics? Who has a tendency to speak up and who is quiet? If you're removed from all of this, enlist the help of your employees. Go back to that feedback loop and encourage folks to speak up. As another point of consideration when it comes to retention, your employees will feel safer and more confident in their job when they are able to be open with their managers about their long-term goals. So if you're a manager, get comfortable asking. Ask yourself first, what is your hope for your employees in 3 to 5 years in their jobs, once they've been in their jobs? Are there opportunities to move up in your organization and take on new roles and responsibilities? Do you know what your employees' long-term goals look like? Are you able to help them meet them? And do your employees feel comfortable sharing their goals with you? Once you've answered these questions for yourself, ask your employees too. Take the opportunity to align yourself with their wants and needs. Don't make assumptions about what someone wants their future to look like. Again, think equitably here. Create the space for these types of conversations to ensure you're constantly able to tweak your communication and working styles to adhere to the communication and working styles of your employees. And finally, think about growth. Stagnancy destroys retention rates. Growth opportunities at your company might be traditional, like promotional paths to leadership roles, but they also might look like this: onboarding and on-the-job training, job shadowing, coaching mentorship opportunities, especially with peers, industry conferences, after or before hours networking options, cross-training with other parts of the organization, and knowledge sharing and collaborative vision planning. And if you don't know how your employees want to grow, as I've said a few times, just ask them. Give your employees an opportunity to grow, increases their confidence in their jobs, in their organizations that take care of them, and ultimately in themselves. Now let's wrap up with some next steps. You will receive an email this week, hopefully today, with the slides and follow-up resources. And an online recording will become available on our website within a week. Again, I'm hoping today or tomorrow. A post-webinar survey will be included in that email. And please let us know if this webinar was helpful to you, as the content will inform future webinars. I also want to share some of our resources on our website where a lot of this information was pulled and sourced. We have a website, Diversity and Inclusion Toolkit. And if you navigate to our website, which is at careers.uw.edu, and you click for employers, you'll see a lot of information. Down at the bottom here is Diversity and Inclusion Toolkit. And you will see a few different buckets. The first three are what we discussed last week: developing position descriptions, recruiting applicants, and application review and interviewing. The next three are this week's topics: create an onboarding plan, welcome new staff, and retain new hires. So on these pages, they have a lot of additional resources and also the information sources where we found this information. So you can find additional links. This is creating an onboarding plan, welcoming new staff, retaining new hires, And then one of those pages also links to UW's onboarding guides, which might be a helpful opportunity for you. So for example, this guide, Best Practices and Key Ideas, has some great examples that you might want to consider. They also have an onboarding toolkit with a lot of additional checklists and guides as well. So those are all linked from the Diversity and Inclusion Toolkit and then these 3 subpages. So I recommend taking a look at that. We also have a summer job and internship fair coming up. Are you currently hiring? Are you not hiring but looking to maintain a recruiting pipeline? So join us at our fair if you're interested. It is on Wednesday, June 25th, 11 to 2 on the Seattle campus in the Husky Union Building. Registration is still open. We highly recommend checking it out. These links lead to our website and then registering on Handshake. Please ask us questions if you have any. We would love to have you there. Students would also love to see you there as well. All right, so some Q&A if you have any questions. Here you will see a screenshot and a link to our LinkedIn page. That is where we post a lot of opportunities for employers, information about these employer education engagement webinars, and also career fairs and events coming up. So feel free to click this link to follow us on LinkedIn. And so now I will welcome any questions if you want to put them in the Q&A. And if not, you are welcome to sign off. You can reach us at cicevents@uw.edu, or again, my email that was at the top of this presentation, lsmith8@uw.edu. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. Thank you.